Just gonna wait for myself to pop up here and move this back a bit. Have a good one, baby. All right, one person here. Hey, hi, and I'm live. It's the Nazarite, bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Still too hot? No, I'll venture a sip. No, still too hot. Hello. It's me, and it's a Wednesday, and it's you. Hello, one person is there. Hi, who are you? Declare yourself, if you please. Those watching now, those watching later, hello, hello. Bloodnose is here. It is you who is also I. Happy Wednesday, my friend. A happy Wednesday to us all. Hey, no matter if it's nighttime, right, or it's the Hebrew Thursday, or if you're in the middle of your Wednesday, or whatever it is, may it be a blessed and bountiful time. It's nice to see you, Bloodnose. Your profile picture, I don't know if I've asked you about it. What is it? I mean, right now it's very small. I don't want to risk fiddling with it right now, but is it a dance? Is it a martial art move? Saneezer is here. Shalom, everyone, he says. It's a character from Monkey Island video game. Oh, okay, I don't know it. Monkey Island. Are they all monkeys, or is it simply the name of the island? Oh, wow, what a week, what a week. I want to get into a few comments, and I first want to get into something in this week's Torah portion. I'm going to read from the JPS Tanakh 2 verses, right, regarding the burning bush and the apparition to Moses at the mountain. Okay, and the angel of the Lord, so this is the JPS Tanakh, Exodus 3, verse 2. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. Waiting on, you just scroll up here. Next. Sorry, I didn't prep it. I was thinking about it just as I was going to do this. Okay. And Moses said, I will turn aside now and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. So first he sees, right, Vayar, and then he says, Asurana. JPS Tanakh version, it says, I will turn aside now. Let's see what other versions of translation says. BibleHub.com. I will go over. I will turn aside. I must go over. I will now turn. I will now turn. I will now turn. I must turn away, says one translation. Interesting. Asurana. Okay, lasur. Lasur is to move, but it's more than that. Lasur is the samech and the resh, if I'm not mistaken, is the root of musal, right? That study of virtue and of proper way to do things. And the idea of first beholding and then answering with motion, asurana. So he first sees it, and it's not consumed. And then he says, I'm going to turn aside, I'm going to move, asurana, I will make a move. And I will, well, what is it? I will, right? And see this great sight. So very much in the same way it throws me back to Eden, where there's the eyes that they had originally, and then there's the eyes that they had when their eyes were opened after they ate from the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And Moses seeing, reacting to it with motion, and then seeing again. אסור נא ואראה את המראה הגדול הזה. מדוע לא יבער הסנה? And I love that idea of Moses seeing it and sort of doing a double take. And right, and in between that double take is that sudden call to move towards that which is which has taken hold of you, that which you are responding to. He made a move, asurana. If he saw it, he could have simply stayed there and said, whoa, it's Wednesday. No, maybe just the whoa. Maybe also it's Wednesday. Point is, he still would have seen it, but he said, no, I'm going to make a move. Asurana. And that's something that I would like to do more. There are always things that are inviting themselves as the right thing at the right time, the right place, the right circumstances, and I would love to be able to take advantage of those opportunities more when they present themselves, and to be able to discern, and to do that double take and make a move. Okay. Now, let's see. Is there anything in the chat right now? Oh, Robert Harrison is here. Hello, Robert. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Okay. The hostages are getting released. Some of the hostages are getting released according to, I guess, early reports, or I don't know what's going on there. There's going to be a hostage deal. Bring them home, bring them all home now. I don't think it's supposed to be for all of them, but Yah willing, it will be. Shalom all, says Robert Harrison. Shalom to you. Bloodno says, hello, our friend Robert Harrison. Sub brother, he retorts. Sneeder says, along with the withdrawal from Gaza. Good. May it be rebuilt, and may it extend its hand in peace instead of war. Got nothing to do with Trump, of course, says Sneezer, with a big laugh. Says a lot, doesn't it? Said Bloodnose. Yep. Far be it from me to know, but it seems that it probably has something to do with it. Trump promised world peace, so have I, said Sneezer. Hamas never... Oh, I'm sorry, it just jumped. Oh, Hamas never respected Biden. Well, I have no idea who they respect and who they don't. I know that traditionally, Islam and this part of the world respects strength, honor, right? There's... I like his time frame better, said Sneezer. His time frame as far as presidents are concerned, yeah, he gave a really, from what I understood, just the 20th. Yes. Remember what Trump said? If they're not released by the 20th, all hell will break loose, Bloodnose says. I just hope all of them are released, all of them, every single one of them, to just better life. My God, to start to heal, to start to repair from... it's... what a situation. What a horrible, awful, nasty situation. We need peace. Eiler, good to see you too. Hello. POW, stay till Israel withdraw is complete. Wait. POW as in prisoners of war? Stay, meaning the soldiers and not civilians, till Israel's withdrawal is complete. I understand. It's, oh my God. I know what, nobody respects Biden, said Sneezer. I'm sure many people did. He was elected at the time by just about half the country, so to speak. Or over half, as it would be. Okay, let's see. Oh, wait, did I just lose all of my spots here? I think I did. I had a few things queued up here in different tabs, and then in the comments section, fine, you'll have to bear with me. I need to scroll a little bit. See, this time I did queue it up before, and it still didn't happen. Okay, BMXers with dreadlocks and I were talking about the flood. And I want to find that one, because maybe oh, come on, where is it? Oh, okay. I know what to do. I will search. Here we go. Okay, so Here. So BMXer says that the highest mountains, like Everest, were not covered by the flood, according to Torah, right? And he cites, what was that, right? He cites Genesis chapter 7. And I told him 7:19 says, the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high mountains that were under the whole heaven were covered, right? That's the JPS or whichever one I had at the time. And he says, sure, under the whole heaven of that land part of earth. It doesn't say that. It says it was X cubits high, and that's it. Mount Everest is higher. And I'm still thinking that the correct way to view those verses is that they were in deep 15 cubits, 15 ama milema'ala. And not that it reached that depth, but the mountains themselves were into that depth. That's how I understood those verses always and ever. Maybe people have different translations, understanding, interpretations. Maybe I'm way off. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. Wait, okay, let's see if there's any reaction to that, because, okay, we'll see. No, nothing yet, but Sneezer said modern historians believe the flood around 2000 BC was only Mesopotamia, the younger Dryas flood, or Dryas, way earlier, 12,000 BC or so. I've heard of a few hypotheses, I don't know, or ideas of the more ancient, right? Not ancient Greece, ancient Rome, ancient India, way back. A different, people say, more advanced civilization, perhaps, at least in some ways. And modern historians believe the flood was only Mesopotamia. Could very well be. Grand Canyon science even says made by water. So I know that well, let's put it this way. I'm inclined to believe that such a thing is possible, taking into account different things that occurred upon the earth. As for the account of it in Torah or the what is it, the Epics of Gilgamesh, or one of those more, one of those ancient writings, or wherever it is, even if it doesn't line up with the time, it aligns with the human psychology, let's say, and with the themes that the Torah is about. The flood is coming. Prepare yourself. Anchor yourself to something that will be able to deliver you. Put faith in God. And don't simply pray, but act. Build something. That whole thing. That whole thing, right? He's righteous in his generation. And we are all in our generation. We are all Noah and Abraham. Okay. Bible, said Sneezer, puts the flood in Mesopotamia around 4,000, 2000 BC. Okay. Right, so like I said, the time does work, doesn't work, I don't know. But I know that there's a lot to be learned from the story. If Beit HaMikdash would stand tomorrow, would you consider cutting your hair? No, I would not consider cutting my hair at all. What does Beit HaMikdash have to do with cutting my hair? Since my vow is a Samson vow, there are no offerings to bring. It's not the vow from Numbers for a set period of time. It's a Samson vow. Oh, wait, I need to mute. Beep, 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 boop, boop. Mute. There we are. So what does Beit HaMikdash have to do with cutting my hair? So Nizar says, yep, like I said, the Torah is so encrypted we can't get the truth out of it without a lot of exception. A lot of exception or accepting exception. Robert Harrison says, rainbow solely a promise from God in Torah. I love the story of the rainbow. I love what it represents. I have a couple of videos on the rainbow and the fact that that it's the first covenant and the only covenant between, right, God and all creation, not a specific, right, image of God, human being, not a tribe, not a family, not a clan. It's all creation. So Nietzsche says, no more would floods, or we know the Bible wrong. No more world floods, or we know the Bible wrong. At least to the extent that the Bible says that the flood happened, yeah. So people could say, based on that, the Bible's wrong. And I say, okay, more power to you. God basically has to prevent floods because he told us he would. Insofar as the Torah is concerned, yes, that's right. Which is why the rainbow in Orthodox tradition, anyway, is not something that you are supposed to look at and gaze at. It's a sign that it's as if a flood was supposed to be coming just now, here, and God has prevented it in this very moment. It's considered something which is, let's put it this way, there are a couple of sages, I think it was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in the Second Temple era, more famously, that in his days the rainbow was not seen because he took the judgment of the world on himself. And it's this idea of judgment. Now, the rainbow, let's put it this way. No, judgment is the wrong word, and I'm not gonna and ah about it right now. But let's just say that the idea of the rainbow is, and I love that I love everything behind it. I love the way it's written in the Torah, and this idea of looking at it, saying the blessing once every 30 days, remembering the covenant. That covenant between God and all creation. And, well, I'll leave it at that. Let's continue. People that know Bible know the true meaning of rainbow. Yeah, we are all broken light. There is a crack in everything, said Leonard Cohen. That's how the light gets in. I also reference that in the couple of videos I have on the rainbow, on broken light. There we go, says Eiler. I missed the Samson vow aspect. So Samson is for life, and the other variations of the Nazarite vow end with offering the hair at the temple. No, there's another exception, which is somebody who vows for life, but not the Samson vow, the numbers vow. For life. Not for 30 days, not for 5 years, not for 50 years, for life. You can do that and you're still not under the Samson vow. It just so happens that the Samson vow is for life from the onset, from the get-go. It's part of its nature. So the ones who are for a set period of time, or the ones who were made Nazarites as children but decide when they come of age to discontinue, they bring offerings and their vow is done. So they offer hair at the temple, yes. If you tell me now that Beit HaMikdash isn't the temple, then I need to check my facts. Yes, indeed, it is. Now, the offering of the hair may also be with Nazarites who continue their vow, but have a haircut once every 12 months. And there's a difference of opinion on whether they just get a haircut or they shave it all off, and whether it does need to go under the altar or not, whether they bring sacrifices, make offerings or not. And that's all laid out nicely in the Rambam, in the Mishnah, in Halacha at large, of the Nazarite ship. Yes, Beit HaMikdash is a holy house, a temple. Robert Harrison, Sneezer says, Robert Harrison, virtually all of geology disagrees, right, that the Grand Canyon was made from water. People attribute that to the flood. I wasn't sure, but makes sense that people would. Me, I wasn't paying attention to dates when I witnessed. Wasn't paying attention to dates. I suspect the Bible got the dating wrong. Encoded, he says in parentheses. Yes, wrong in some views, encoded in others, and some say it's just a cop-out. Oh no, it's so ancient that you can't possibly understand the boo. It's like, okay, if that's true, then and all the traditions and then what all the commandments that are, you can make all the arguments against it. That's where faith comes in a big way. That's where tradition comes in, where you can start it from a place where it was warped, let's say, by this, that, or the other, and you work your way back to a more purer stem, let's say. You need to learn your own faith, you need to study your own religion, you need to know how to discern. You may need a spiritual leader, you may need a guide, you may not, whatever the case may be. Getting things wrong, things are encoded. If you want to see it, it's there. People look for gematria in the Bible, right? The Bible codes. And I'm thinking that if you take any text that's long enough, and I've heard people say this, and you could find codes and hidden meanings and messages. It's like if you want to find something, you'll find it. And the Torah, which is something which predates the world, so to speak. He looked at the Torah and created the world. It's something that, for me, is not about the dates, and it's not even about right or wrong insofar as modern historians, academics would say it, or I don't know what. I've seen something in it that is so inherently sort of human, showing the best of and the worst of, and there's so much there to distill. Because yes, let's say things are wrong. Let's say things are perverse. Let's say things have been censored and changed. Things have been hidden and uncovered. It's like, okay, and now what? That's my eternal question. And now what? This book has been handed down. It's not a fluke. There's a lot to it. You don't have to agree 100,000% with it and say, yes, this is exactly the way Moses got it from God's mouth, and all that. There's something to it. There's something to Torah. There's likely something to any ancient text that is as old as the Torah. Likely there's something to it. Maybe not. Maybe not. Just because it's old doesn't make it right. In Samson's vow, says Robert, in Samson's vow, come in contact with the dead, being he picked up the jawbone of an ass and putting his hand in the lion's mouth, getting honey. Well, first of all, neither of those is defilement, because defilement is, for the Nazarite, is human death, a corpse, not a what's it called? Well, not a dead animal, but a dead human. It's a different kind of tum'ah. It's a different kind of impurity. It's a different kind of ritual uncleanliness when it's a human being. Right? Avi avot tum'ah, or tum'at met, the defilement by death. And I also have a few videos on that, in the archives. So he did not break his vow like that, in that sense. And hold on a second. Yes. And he also slew a bunch of people with the jawbone. So Nezer says, offering the hair as a sacrifice makes a lot of sense, less egotistical. There's a very famous story of Rabbi Shimon HaTzadik, who was the high priest, if I'm not mistaken, for a very long time in Second Temple era Jerusalem, and he would not eat the offerings of certain Nazarites, most Nazarites. And there was one who showed up, and he had beautiful hair. And he said, he basically told him, what happened to make you make this vow? And he said, I saw my reflection in the mirror. And I said, you know what? You think you look good? I'm going to shave it off. He took on the Nazariteship, right, to challenge himself, and then for it to come to an end and for the hair to go. That idea of the ego. How do you mean less egotistical? I mean, that threw me associatively to that story. But what do you have to say about the ego and hair? I'm curious, Anezer. Where do you see it? And the Sphinx, you're talking about this, what, the Egyptian one, or? No, the Torah is clearly encoded and changed in such a way the word math works out, probably written over thousands of years. The word math, do you mean gematria, or do you mean word math in a different way? Robert Harrison says, it's alarming to me that some people don't give the Hebrews credit for building the pyramid. Well, in this week's Torah portion, it says that we built cities of riches, Pitom and Ramses. It doesn't mention burial sites, though it may be or not, you know. I don't think that, at least according to scholars and academics nowadays, I don't think it aligns with when the Bible we claim to have been in Egypt. That's also very, very much, people say it's debunked. There's a lot of differing opinions. And revives, said Sneezer. Yes, could very well be. Like I said, those three little dots, it means something did happen. As for not giving the Hebrews credit, I don't know if we deserve it. Sneezer says, doesn't mean untrue, just means too efficient. Too efficient. What do you mean by it's too efficient? At what point will we catch up mentally, spiritually, Sneezer, where it won't be too efficient, but efficient enough for us to grasp and integrate and live with and go by? And as far as you're concerned, where do you see that happening? Do you, HN, take written Torah at face value? No, I don't. I think that by the time it comes, as I've said, to written form, it has undergone, right? It's in its layer. There are layers to uncover. There are some things there that are more clearly allegorical for a 21st Gregorian century lad like myself. And there are things that are a lot more practical. And it's partly why we have things like the oral Torah, the oral traditions, or certain oral traditions which were passed down, where it's like, yes, you need both in order to crack that code. And I'm not saying all of halacha is 100% divine or divinely inspired, but I will say that the oral and written Torah, it's something that you can take at face value, as in, here is something that's worth paying attention to. Here is something that I should read, even if some of it seems fantastic and allegorical and encoded. You know, yes, that, adrabah, let's crack that code. The pyramids globally were built by the giants, said Sneezer. By giants, you mean the Nephilim that are mentioned in the book of Genesis? Who are you referring to? That would be a giant. Ogres, oh, we're much worse. Evening, lads. Hello, Ariel. Good to see you. Good to see you. Robert Harrison said, it is the glory of kings to search out a matter. Proverb. It is a glory of kings to search out a matter. Can you give me chapter and verse? Do you mean it is a proverb, or from the book of Proverbs, Sefer Mishlei? Sneezer says there is certainly something to it, or it shouldn't have survived. I'm inclined to agree. No, nor Jews for that matter. I'm also inclined to agree with that. What about the human Samson slayed? Yes, so once again, there is no Tum'at Met with a Nazirut Shimshon. For the Samson Nazarite, there's no defilement of death. In other words, we may be defiled by death. It's not against, it doesn't break the vow. There's probably something to the Torah you can't censor away. Yes, a great way to put it. Something to the Torah you cannot censor away. I agree. Very much. Exactly up full circle. That's exactly how I meant it, said Sneezer, as he took it, pride in his looks, Rasta. Egyptian is the only sphinx I know of. Well, I'm sorry, I don't remember what you're referencing. What were we talking about? Pride in his looks. Are you talking about Samson? Who are you talking about? Hey, how are you? Says Edra Drisu. Hi, Ezra. Good to see you again, man. Well, you wrote geometria, which is close, but that's the study of shapes and angles. Gematria is the numerical value of the Hebrew letters. I take gematria simply to mean taking the letters and adding them up. You mean at least several steps further where the word for son includes the symbol for father. Well, there are, 13 different ways. At least I'm referencing Pardes Limonim by the Ramak right now. There may be others, more or less. 13 different ways to turn words into letters. 13 different varieties of gematria. Katan, Gadol, right, and Sofetevot, Rashetevot, the beginnings and the ends, and anyway, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. I don't know enough Hebrew to give proper examples, said Snazer. Well, okay. So, what did that pride in his looks, Rasta? Did I miss something? What were we talking about there? Robert says, I wonder if some Nazarites take pride in their locks being longer than others, than other Nazarites' hair. Guess they have to keep that in check. Pride is something that exists. So, to some degree, in everybody, pretty much. And as for the locks, I have no idea. Longer than others. Well, I have no idea, but there's so many different factors that go into hair length and growth. So it wouldn't even be something on the basis of which one should take pride over others. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you want to take pride in it for you, go ahead, but not as opposed to other Nazarites or people with locks. But if they are prone to pride, maybe, who knows? Too efficient. If guided by an understanding priest, it's perfect. But only 14,000 of the Levites understand at any given time as per Revelation. Yes, I've seen that number crop up. When certain Christians, followers of Jesus, were talking to me. And that has cropped up. What is it, 140,000? Is it 140,000? I might be mistaken. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's 14,000 of those, or 44,000 of those, something like that. I don't recall. Or maybe it's the same number and I'm just... Now, what do you mean that only that part of the Levites understand at any given time? Also, you mean Levites and priests? Or do you mean only Levites? Or do you only mean the priests? Robert Harrison, Sneezer says it is a way of hierarchy. Longer dreads, more faithful, longer. See, that's what I'm saying. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Robert Harrison says, what do you do when oral Torah and written contradict each other, HN? Well, let's put it this way. I'm inclined to go more with the written Torah before the oral Torah. And as I said, I pick and choose everything and make no apology. I'm a cafeteria Hebrew man. And I take what I want from the oral traditions and I take what I want from the written Torah. So you'll have to give me a specific example, but I'm inclined to go with written Torah, as in I would give it precedence. And my mind of obviously growing up Orthodox for as long as I did. And so it's almost inescapable that that's where my mind would go initially. But it would have to be on a case-by-case basis. And that's precisely why I say you need both. Now, you don't necessarily need that oral tradition as it's passed down in the Mishnah and the Talmud, but the oral traditions, let's say, right, the Samaritans, the Karaites, they have their own oral traditions as well. So stick to those, good people, stick to those. I think the giants were Nephilim, yes, unsure exactly. Wouldn't, not shouldn't, not sure if my typo or your misread. Okay. Wouldn't, not shouldn't. Wouldn't have survived. Oh, okay. Well, I understood it in the same way. Exactly, you can't censor the Torah or Bible fully, or Vedas or Tao Te Ching, etc. God keeps them alive. Robert says, they said they took pictures from space, and they have come to the conclusion that they used water to move the big blocks for the pyramid for help. Ha! Wouldn't that be something to harness the water? They were real water benders, huh? From my understanding, though, said Sneezer, original Hebrew was kind of like home, father, and wife. Do you mean the Paleo Hebrew? Do you mean the modern day Hebrew? Original Hebrew, home, father, and wife? What do you mean, father and wife? Do you mean wife as in one of many wives? Because that's in the Torah as well. Inheritance might be like father, son, death. Okay, I understand what you mean. Do you mean the pictograph or whatever it's called? Or do you mean its meaning in... How do you mean it? In Iyov, says Robert, the Lord said he deprived wisdom from the ostrich. I do not remember that bit. There's a lot of Iyov I don't remember offhand. I don't remember that bit as well. Deprived wisdom from the ostrich. Interesting. Now, do you mean ostrich or do you mean ostrich? And it's a different animal. Said Sneezer, that kind of organization of concepts requires divinity or an AI form from modern times. Yes, I'm making one. Yes. Oh, okay. 144,000 total, 14 from each tribe. There you go. There you go. Understood. Thank you, Robert, as well, for clearing that up. Thank you. I noticed, too, said Sneezer, it's an equal number from each tribe, which would obviously be varying percentages. Yes, of course. We wrote that at the same time. Yes, exactly. Sneezer says, theoretically, if there are only 12K Levites, they would all inherently know the truth. Well, as opposed to people from other tribes who would not know the truth. The people of Israel received the Torah. Different tribes have different jobs, if you will, but the people of Israel, the tribes of Israel received it. Levi, and right, the tribe of Levi has a different it has a different job, but it's not higher than your ordinary Israelite. Why so picky about typos? Sorry, it's good because I'm reading it as I'm arriving at it, and it's I won't be picky about typos. I'll try not to be picky about typos. And I'm really enjoying this. I must say, this is so much fun. I'm almost 40 minutes in, having a pleasant conversation with you good people on this Wednesday night, and hopefully this hostage deal has been signed. You could argue it's a bad deal, it's a good deal, it's destruction of Israel. No, they're bringing them home. You gotta bring them home. If it's done, then it's done, and let's hope that it happens in the best possible way, under the best circumstances for everybody. And peace, for crying out loud, we need peace. And I thank you, and I deeply appreciate you being here with me on this lovely Wednesday evening here in Jerusalem. And, I get to be here with a cup of tea, no alarms, no surprises. And do this. I'm so grateful. And I'm grateful to you, every sub, every like, every view, every contribution, every iota of a millisecond of your kind and gentle and patient attention is deeply, appreciate it. I love doing this. It's a mechaye, right? And it enlivens me. And it's fun. Okay. Of course, ostrich means the bird. Yes, okay. Hey, there could be a different bird. Bird is the word. Also, Eov is the only place where God is called His Excellency. I wonder what that would be in Hebrew. Oh, romemutcha, I suppose. Romemut. Okay, I'm assuming. Levites are the priests. Okay, so not the minstrels and the guardians of the gates of the temple, right? And Gershon, Kehat, and Merari's descendants, but the descendants of Aharon, specifically among the 12,000 of the tribe of Levi, will all be priests and no Levites. That doesn't make much sense, but okay. I would think it would be 6,000, 6,000. Eiler says, I don't remember. Wait, I'm sorry. Did I? Oh, something. Oh, okay, it jumped, and here I am now. Okay. Wise answer, HN, going with the written in case of a contradiction. At least that's what I've been drawn to throughout my life, to give that precedence. Sennheiser says to Robert Harrison, yup, YouTube search how the pyramids were really made. I think that's the channel name too. He explains how they floated the blocks using water elevators. Okay, so Sennheiser, you meant the pictographs. Okay, the way it was written. Understood. Yes, that's right. In the Paleo Hebrew, that's correct. In the Ashuri Merubah, nowadays Hebrew, the Hebrew letters, they are the more ancient ones, let's say. But at least according to the Hebrew faith, right? I love how coded the written Torah and love trying to decode it, says Robert Harrison. Yeah. Yep. Now, you could make so many arguments against coding it. It's like, what? If God wants us to follow it, let him just say it. Fair enough. This book is thousands and thousands of years old. You got to decode it one way or another. Eiler says, I don't remember who, respectfully some rabbi, I don't remember who, but said all religions on earth are important organs. Does that ring a bell with you guys? Your impressions to that saying? Yeah. I am inclined to agree. I don't remember who would say it, in my memory. I don't remember who would say so, who said such a thing. I know that it's said of different, let's say, parts of the Torah, different commandments, but all religions on earth are important organs. I don't know. Doesn't ring a bell with me. So, all religions, all of them, 100% of them? No, I disagree with that. I disagree that all religions on earth are important organs. I would say that humanity, right, insofar as we vary in nation, cultures, tongues, in that sense, we are important organs. But all religions? No, I don't. It's not going to go with that. Not all religions, no. Okay, not higher, but fundamentally necessary for teaching the Torah. I understand. כי שפתי כהן ישמרו דעת ותורה יבקשו מפיהו כי מלאך אדוני צבאות הוא. The lips of the priest keep knowledge. And Torah you shall seek from his mouth, because he is an angel of God, the Lord of hosts. That's my rough on the fly translation. Without an understanding teacher, the Torah is virtually worthless. No, I wouldn't say worthless. I wouldn't say worthless, not by a long shot. But if you speak, as you speak, Sneezer, as understanding, right, that greater understanding, I believe you can find it just as much in any verse, even the ones speaking of ritual defilement of period blood or semen emission, than you can in the, right, in this week's apparition in the burning bush, Ehyeh asher ehyeh. The Torah as, right, as a concept and as a book, right, the 5 books of Moses, it's not virtually worthless without an understanding teacher. It becomes that much more with an understanding teacher, but that also has to do with who you are. There are a great many people in this world, very simple folk, who would be reading the Torah and understanding it very, very plainly and very basically, getting this and that. And if they are implementing that into their lives in a good way, in a way which does good for them and those around them, and they're carrying that forward, teaching that to their children, making it a pillar, right? Some commandment, some idea from the Torah that they can walk with and be with, then they have understood that share of the Torah. As they live, as they perhaps take on more, and so on, they could gather more, not necessarily with a teacher, but because, as with Abraham, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, if I'm not mistaken, asks, where did Abraham learn Torah? And his kidneys, he says, became his rabbis, and they taught him from the inside. That kind of understanding. The Torah is meant to be lived. The Torah is meant to be like a lived experience. These commandments that we walk with, even though most of them have to do with the temple, which has been burned and currently is still burned, that which we were bequeathed still means a lot. And I understand what you mean when you say that understanding in the greater meaning as you mean it, Sneezer, understanding, that without an understanding teacher, the Torah is virtually worthless. But I disagree. It's harmful even. I agree, it can be harmful, yes. Instead of a Sam Chaim, instead of an elixir of life, it will become a poison, like, a kind of what would it be? Never mind, just death. Bee Freak, hey Bee Freak, nice to see you, man. But wait, it just jumped. I'm sorry, I'll be back, Bee Freak. Hang on. Okay, here. I'm sorry the chat keeps jumping. The chat is jumping. It's Destiny's Child. God's law is writ to our hearts. No need for books, really, only to confirm. Well, there's a lot said about eventually when we, the global we, will no longer be stiff-necked fools, right? We will be able to circumcise our hearts and circumcise our stiff neck. We'll be able to peel that onion of our being and cry while we're doing it, but get there, remove the bad parts, and get to the real goodness together. And then, right, then it will be written on our hearts, on our very bodies, if you will. There is still a need for books, I say. There is still a need for scrolls, I say. But the idea is, yes, you immerse yourself in it and you write it on your own heart. You do your job as an individual. Without confirmation, there is good reason to consider insanity. Yeah, part of what we're doing as human beings to each other each and every single day is confirming to each other, yes, okay, things are okay. This is okay, that much is okay, this is not okay, but this here is okay, this is not okay. Robert says, Most High worked through Trump. He really said all hell break loose if they not back by January 20th. Well, it wouldn't be the first time that the Most High works through leaders. Hey, James Bong is here. Hey, man, can't wait till we get our people back to their families and out of Gaza. Yah willing. May it happen, may it happen, may it happen. All of them, get them all back. Sanizar says, it's not the minstrels or guardians who teach you how to live. Well, it is and it isn't. Because the priests and the Levites also were set up, right? They They set up shop in the cities of refuge, in the Arei Miklat, and there was a reason why they were there. 12K from each tribe are not priests, only the Levites. No, I know that they're not all priests. I meant from the tribe of Levi, right? I guess you got it. Priest is a bloodline, not a job. It is a job. It is a job insofar as the ritual worship is concerned. It's definitely a job, a task, right? Because they represent a certain divine revelation in that tree of life, and to bring that connection and open up that chakra, if you will, so the energy flows, they need to behave in a certain way, think certain things, act in certain ways, wear certain clothes, say certain blessings, order themselves. So it's also a job, yes, as far as I'm concerned. Praying for the hostages, says Robert Harrison, to have a speedy recovery, mental and physical. Amen. Lu Yehi, may it be. Sneezer says, yes, I expect modern-day Hebrew has degraded significantly. A lot of additions to the more ancient Hebrew, a lot of new words, a lot of different things, certain ways of pronouncing Hebrew which have all but gone from the world, or just about, and the degradation, as you put it, right, of the generations, what's called Yeridat Hadorot. It comes at a price. But very famously, right, we who are the lowest are holding up everything that came, right, just like the heel holds up the body. And it's the lowest part. It's the roughest part. It's where the rubber meets the road. You know, quite literally, or not literally, quite fittingly. And yet, right, the foot holds up the human body. I think you approach the Torah rightly, Sneezer says to Robert. Right on. Yeah, Robert has a lot of good things to say. You know, he follows Jesus, I don't, but there's this, there's this hope, there's this wish, there's this way that we all, or some of us here in the chat, you know, share about Torah. Even though we differ on this, that, or the other, there's a general common ground which we can build around. And yes, it's about the approach. It's about what is it that the Torah expects me to do here and now. Hit the like button for Pinky. Where is Pinky? Is she here? She's probably upstairs annoying my good woman. Trying to decode it, said Sneezer. Rings true to me, all religions are like organs, said Sneezer. That it rings true. Robert says, Sneezer, thank you, all glory to God. The greatest glory is silence. No, it's not necessarily the greatest glory. Glory is silence. So, Shalom bro, how are you, says B Freak. Hey, if I can sit here and do this with a nice cup of tea and engaging conversation, then I am so blessed, so wonderfully, abundantly rich, and I only hope and pray to continue to merit this here and now. And I love it that it's raw, and I love it that it's live, and I love it that you're here with me. It's been almost an hour. And like Robert says, all glory to God. Toda liyah. Sneezer says God can teach you the Torah directly, but chances are you won't be able to teach it. I know what you mean. I know what you mean in like personally. I know what you mean insofar as yes. Aramaic is closer to Hebrew than Arabic. I think it depends. I think you mean all things considered? Aramaic is closer than Arabic? Well, it's written in Hebrew letters, and it was spoken by Hebrew people a lot back in the day, and still, but not a lot. But the three of them, Hebrew, Aramaic, and Arabic, are sister languages. Is it a lot close? Is it by a lot? I don't know. I'm not a linguist. Is it by a lot as far as you're concerned, James Bong? Or is it simply this has, a small margin of greater proximity to Hebrew. Sneezer says, HN, you're just biased against Muslim. I'm biased against Muslims. What did I say that was biased against Muslims? What did I say that was biased against Muslims? Somebody, please. Though it very well can be, growing up where I grew up and being who I am here and now, I definitely say that my view of Islam has been warped by decades of war and destruction and horror and bloodshed. So, which is why I don't really have a take on Islam. I don't really have a take on Muhammad, the Prophet. I don't really have a take on the Quran, on Islam, on the Quran, on the Prophet, anything to do with it. I have an idea, not a real take. Joe Rogan podcast talked about a man, says Robert. HN, you probably believe that. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Oh, come on, it jumped again. Here we are. HN, said Sneezer, you probably believe that because you are leave that anyone can understand. No, I believe it not to do and nothing to do with the supposed Levitical status that I carry, but only because of reading the Torah and seeing the stories there of people who were, right? Avraham, just one Avram, even before Avraham, one man, one curious man who at age 70 something, 75 is it, 77, decided to just, all right, you take out just this and that, and you're likely become very, very evil, said Sneezer. Yes, there is that, because the Torah has evil parts and the Torah has good parts. Because we are in a world of knowledge of good and evil. And Torah is knowledge of that good and how evil we can be. So, I don't know about this and that the way you mean it. I know that I've been called personally to this and that more than that and the other. Know what I'm saying? Who taught himself ancient Hebrew? I forget his name. Took him long time. Did you know his name, HN? Are you talking about on YouTube? Are you thinking of James Larisha? He taught himself Hebrew. If that's who you're talking about, Robert. Statistically, you're likely to become very evil, Sneezer says. Yeah, there are some things where if you go with the Torah, and if you go with the wisdom of our sages, and you go full throttle, or whatever it is, right, you just let her rip, then you end up with very extremist cults, then you end up with things that might be problematic on some scale. And I think that, let's say for me, with the Nazarite chip, it's not a cult, which is part of what I love about it. It's something that's very, very general, right? Applies to the people, to the children of Israel, and it's a group, but not a cult. The book of Eov, says Robert, I think was made before God gave the written Holy Torah. So there is, again, that opinion that it was at the time of Moses, before the Torah was given on Sinai. Bailey says, hey Bailey, nice to see you again. Shalom, do Jews still follow the original law? Is the goal to go to heaven by way of righteousness and perfection? What do you do if you accidentally do something against the law? Is there forgiveness? So, hey Bailey, good to see you again. Do Jews still follow the original law? Depends. There are many different types of Jews. The Rabbinic Judaism, Orthodox Judaism, follows the written Torah and the oral traditions brought down in the Mishnah, the Talmud. The goal is not to go to heaven. The goal, I don't know how, first of all, you have to tell me what do you mean by heaven. The goal is to follow the Torah, hold to the covenant, do good deeds, and eventually, as a human race, as far as I'm concerned, right, you return to your own place in Eden, and we collectively, as human beings, do that eventually as well. So the goal is to follow the Torah, hold to the covenant, and perform the commandments. Righteousness is good. Perfection is as perfect as you are, which is always imperfect. But yes, to strive for perfection, even though you fall short of it. What do you do if you accidentally do something against the law? Then again, it depends what type of Jewery or halacha are you following. Ask your rabbi what it would mean for you. But seeing as how there is no temple, yes, there is forgiveness, but it's not by way of ritual worship, meaning without the temple, that's more than half the commandments in the Torah are referencing ritual worship. And so we are sort of left with a great deal, but if you're talking about forgiveness, yes, there are obviously different ways. The altars, the blood, the animal sacrifice, the wine, the oil, it was all, right, the grains, it was all in order to bring about a certain divine connection that would facilitate forgiveness in you. God doesn't need anything, there is no desire there. It's you who need to pay attention to what you're doing as you're making the offering and let it teach you. Right? Like a psychedelic experience. You walk with it, you do the thing, you integrate it, you make a change for the better. And in that way, not only is there forgiveness, but there is repentance on your part, returning to a better you, closer to who you truly are. And Torah and commandments is there for the Hebrew man and woman to peel off those layers. So I don't know what you mean when you say original law. And I don't know what you mean when you say heaven, but that's my, off the cuff answer. Bee Freak, there are about 15 million Jews in the world. Wow. Anyone who feels scared or against such a small population compared to the rest of the world? Anyone? Yeah, we are not a lot of people on a very small piece of land here. Great questions, Bailey, says Bloodnose. Welcome. Bloodnose, oh, I'm sorry. It jumped. No, it didn't. Sneezer says to Bailey, nobody follows the original laws, so no, even when there was only one, we broke it. There's something to that. More laws equals more people. More laws equals more criminals. More criminals are people, caught or not. More laws, meaning more people become criminals because they transcend and break the law? Not transcend, transgress and break the law? By the way, speaking of forgiveness, there are different ways of atoning, which is why I say you would have to ask your rabbi or whoever it is on how you would atone. Now, there is the classic literature, if you will, of tshuva, returning and being able to make amends, and into the future be able to be so elevated and heightened that your wrongdoings, even if they were done with, let's say, malevolent intent, would become merits, because the transformation within you would be so completely undeniable and incontrovertible that those things would retroactively be something that would buttress you, right, and give you that push forward from the rear, right, from the back. They would give you that something to stand on. So yes. Right, I mean, people fast, people say psalms, people give tzedakah, right? They give to charity and alms. People do different things in order to atone. But more than anything, it's supposed to be something that you carry into the future that would change your behavior to such a degree where even the thing which caused you to sin and transgress, you will be giving it praise and glory. Oh, I'm so grateful that happened. Without that, right, I wouldn't be where I am now. And you'll be able to see that clearly, vividly, with those eyes that are open and that see it for what it ever truly, right, all it truly ever was, to quote Rav Kook. It always and ever was unconditional love, to quote Sneezer, something primordial. And here there's a duality, here there's the good and evil, and in the root it's all one. And to be able to live that life is to know that all of it is true across the board. Now that does not obviously give you the permission to transgress, not in any way, and to say, oh yes, God will forgive me, it's all good, I'll recant on my deathbed, I'll reach that understanding, it's all good, and it's fine. No, you're supposed to do things here and now. You're supposed to be aware, you're supposed to discern. However, there is also that greater outlook of across the board, of a lifetime. And the Torah is a living Torah, right? You walk with it, you talk with it, you live it. Even without a temple, you, right, become the temple. We were the original temple, that image of God, and only with the degradation of the generations, it would have to be then made into a place, a building, right? And the clothes, and the sacrifices of grain, and the sacrifices of water and oil and wine and blood. The guardians and the minstrels, it was all there to facilitate that connection that already innately sort of exists within us. We are that personification. And Torah is here to help guide us in that direction. But before there was a temple, there was Eden, and there was just humanity as part of nature. Oh, I wish I had more tea. I want more tea. I will have water. Okay. For a note, says Eiler, it was Rabbi Schechter, Shlomi Schechter. I will research on that and report. Thank you, please do. But I can't close the stream and let it roll while browsing YouTube as I'm using my phone. It's all good. Thank you for bringing up the name. And I would love an update here or in the comments, as the case may be. Robert says, with Elijah, God's voice wasn't in the earthquake, fire, or whirlwind, but the still small voice, kol dmama daka. But with Iyov, God was in the whirlwind. Yes, that's correct. It's different ways of perceiving that divine revelation. Oy, pardon me. And they were both, right? Iyov was in dire straits and Elijah was in dire straits. What a situation to be in. What I'm saying is God doesn't always speak the same way. That is correct. It depends on your perception. The revelation is unique to the individual, to you. Purpose isn't a job, though we often mistake them to be. Well, obviously it's not a job because, in that sense, because at least in the Second Temple and in times of the First Temple as well, the 24 different fractions, what would it be? Houses, the 24 priestly houses, they divvied up the year. So you would go for 2 weeks. Once every 6 months, you'd go for a week in the temple. You start your service on Shabbos, and you switch with the coming family on the other Shabbos, with the coming house. So it's part of your purpose, yes, and it's also part of your job, because it would be part of your duty. It would be part of your military service. Very famously, the tribe of Levi does not go to war if it's wars of conquest and of making the border stronger. The house of Levi, the warriors of the house of Levi, don't go out and fight in that war. And when it's a war of conquering the land, or when enemies are attacking, then the house of Levi definitely would and ought to go and fight. So it's a job in the sense that it's something you carry with you, and it's something that also comes and is manifested even outside of the ritual worship that you would perform during your 2 weeks a year in the temple. To be a priest, to be a Levite, to be an Israelite, you personify or have the capacity, right, to channel a certain divine energy that's unique to you. And to do that means to understand where you are in the priesthood or in the Levitical tradition, or, right, the mainstream, let's say, Israelite traditions. And it is a job and it is a purpose. But yes, they had day jobs too. It's a job in the sense that it is different organs in the living body. Priests are supposed to be unpaid, living off the sacrifices. Priests and the Levites. The Levites would get, they would both get, right? The Levites would get a tithe, the maaser, and they would give a tithe of the tithe, the maaser, mina maaser, to the priests, 1 out of 100. They would get a tenth, and they would get 100th. And they would also be given different things, throughout the years. And yes, if you were during the ritual worship, it was your week, you were at the temple, yes, you lived off of that food, you and your house and your unwed daughter, unless she marries a priest. Priests are supposed to be, I read that. Jesus, said Sneezer, Jesus told us to save the best for his servants. What do you mean by Jesus told us to save the best for his servants? I don't understand what you mean. Unless you continue it later in the chat. I will see. I wish our Western leaders, says Bloodnose, were unpaid, living off the sacrifices. What kind of sacrifices are you talking about, Bloodnose? Hopefully not human sacrifice, because that's dark. Robert says, you guys remember the part of Tanakh the priest had to leave the temple and get jobs? I'm not sure what you mean. As I said, they had jobs. There were a couple of priests, more than a couple, who had a job as in the temple, right? The priest who was, let's say, the high priest, his second in command, as it were, and the leader of the house that was, no, Rosh Beit Av would be that week. So it is the high priest and the priest, right, and his second in command, his first officer, if you will. Those were there all the time, pretty much. But other priests and other Levites, and Israelites for that matter, Israelites would also make an appearance every week. It would change. The priest had to leave the temple and get jobs. I don't precisely remember that part. Enlighten me, please. Robert said to Bloodnose, boy, you said a mouthful there. There's a way to weed out good from bad. Referring to the sacrifices? Unfortunately not, Sneezer says to Robert. Soros and Gates would donate to the bad. So, I mean, how do you people feel about these billionaires, millionaires, I don't know what, giving money to politicians? Do they not? They are still individuals. Where is the line that's dividing between, yes, you can give to a member, right, or somebody who's running with whom you agree, right? Politically, ideologically, you feel an affinity to them and you want to give them money. When is it okay and when is it not okay? I'm curious. I have no idea if I have an opinion on that. I don't know. So Bloodnose says to Robert, it was our friend Sneezer who made the connection between priests and rabbis and our leaders. Yes, when I say priest, I don't mean to imply Christian. Understood, you meant Kohen. I mean in the Torah's implied meaning. Yes, I understood. A man of spirituality and of religion, if you will. Somebody like that who can guide. Good observation, Robert says to Sneezer. My soon-to-be American brother. I can already sing the anthem, said Sneezer, and I think I know most of the pledge. B-Freak says most of the pledge. B-Freak says the greatest glory is silence. So yeah, I amended that. I was translating Ulechadu miyat tehila, but it's not the greatest. It's the verse says that silence is glory to you. Regardless of Aramaic or Hebrew, yes. This language, that language, right? There are certain languages that transcend the Aram and Ever. Right? The languages of music, the language of math, the language of comedy. HN, you said not all religions are organs, implying Muslim? No, I actually wasn't thinking of Islam at all. I was thinking of religions and what they can be, because many of them, if not all of them, are man-made, and certainly now, those that exist now, even if they have divine origins, are man-made. And so, in essence, it would be a lot of different religions that are organs, and some that are not, and some that are. So I wasn't implying Islam at all. No. I didn't have Islam in mind when I spoke those words. Aramaic is a Semitic language, while Arabic is Central Semitic language. Okay, so you mean linguistically. Good. Thank you for educating me. This means that Aramaic has more in common with Hebrew and Aramaic than with Arabic. Okay, so there is actually a difference in the region. Cool. Bloodnose says, I see a menorah. Oh, it jumped again. It jumped again. It jumped again. Oh, there's a lot of chat. Totally, yeah. Okay, here it is. I see a menorah in your cupboard. Correct, Bloodnose. If I didn't know better, I'd think you are Jewish. No, don't let it fool you. I am Jewish. Where's that from? I'm thinking of Groucho Marx. He may look like an idiot and talk like an idiot, but don't let that fool you. He really is an idiot. Sneezer says, I actually really like the American national anthem. Knowing where it comes from, ours is very nice too. The bombs bursting in air. Sneezer says, yes, because you understand, you assume everyone else should. Typical Levite misunderstanding. Okay, in that case, I take it back. I speak only as an individual, right? I, from a very young age, said to myself, I need to understand this. I need to understand it in the sense of this is just jumping out at me and is saying, check me out. I could not turn away from it. And it's always been a part of my life, thank God. Avraham taught us, you're never too old to start something new. Hear, hear. You're never too old to start something new is correct. What is the deal? What is going on here with this cap? Never mind, never mind. I love the idea of one curious man, said B Freak. Yes. Whenever, let's say, if at some point, my kids do this and that, I make it, if they did it out of curiosity, I make it a point, wait a second, I make it a point that I make it a point to tell them, you're curious and I love that about you, don't lose that, and also this, so stay curious, but that's not a good way of going about it. Maybe I am, hey, I definitely have typical Levite misunderstanding because I have typical misunderstandings across the board. And I'm also always trying to discern and learn. Sneezer says, and I do confirm you understand the fundamentals, can't confirm more than that, not knowing more than that to confirm. He's talking about the guy on Joe Rogan. I don't remember his name either. Also, I don't know who you're referring to. Haven't watched Rogan in a while. So you agree, said Sneezer, that it's possible to become evil from the Torah, and now that it's almost likely without proper guidance, and yet you disagree that it's nearly worthless without a properly understanding teacher? Let's put it this way, you're able to go to very evil places with the written Torah and the oral Torah and saying that you are guided by a divine word. You can justify all kinds of horrible things and think that you're doing the work of God. So, in that sense, that is definitely a danger. The risk is worth the reward. And while you do need an understanding teacher, notice that I said things that are good for you and those around you. So that's a kind of general prerequisite, at least in my understanding, not across, not for the general population, but in my personal understanding. I was like, okay, I'd like to behave in such a way where it would be good for me and for those around me as well in the short and long term. And the Torah has both of those time frames, right? It has that immediacy of the commandment that now is the time to perform. These are the prayers, let's say, that now is the time to pray them, right? And then there's that grand scheme of life time frame. So in that sense, because both of those exist simultaneously in the Torah and its commandments, there's things you can understand on your own, and if it works in the short term and you're able to go and move with it forward, and you see that it's something that sustains you, enlivens you, and brings a blessing to those around you, there is all the more reason to continue to do it and to expand the radius of the Torah's influence. And as the Torah influences you more, you're able to discern more, glean more, understand more from within. But yes, you do need a teacher, and the sages said, "Aseh lecha rav," right? Make for yourself a rabbi. And right in the Mishnah. So it's not nearly worthless. There's a lot of wisdom there. Can a person go astray and back it up with scripture? Yes, we see that happen all the time. All the time. So obviously that's the case, and it can be, and it is bead. Hey. A different cult has been in the news recently in Guatemala. Never mind. I don't want to think about it. But yes, to the degree that there is wickedness and evil that you can derive from Torah and be an evil person and back it up, you can also be a wonderful human being and back it up with scripture. And that's what I choose to focus on, even though that other part also exists, and I give it its due, but I choose not to, I choose to see the Torah as that thing which, again, encompasses both insofar as how it's presented to the reader, and it's on us to discern, and it's on us to learn from the wickedness what not to do, how not to act, what would be improper, and to always remember the human being. So yes, I say that, and I'm sorry, maybe I'm not arguing my case too well, but that's simply what I think about it. I'm saying it's possible. I'm not saying everyone can study without a teacher. On a very basic level, you can take certain things that, again, that you find are good and righteous, and you go with them. Doesn't mean that it will pan out for the best. And you have, right? We have rabbis, and we have teachers, and we have masters who know a thing or two about written Torah, about oral Torah, about halacha. I'm sorry, where was I? Right, Sneezer says the New Testament, on the other hand, doesn't need and shouldn't have a teacher between you and God. That's something I can get behind, right? That's definitely something I can get behind. I'm very much in favor of that. I don't know about shouldn't, but not necessary. I can get behind that. Now, again, certain things work on an individual level, but won't work on on the scale of like a society, a group of tribes. So I don't know. Far be it from me to see how these things might pan out. It's just that I know in my experience that what, Clinton said, that there's nothing wrong that can't be fixed by what is right. It's that sort of thing. There's nothing wrong with the Torah that can't be fixed by what is right with the Torah. Sneezer says, and if published without the Old Testament, which generally confuses people, there would be fewer fake Christians. Well, what do you mean fake Christians? I'm curious who you mean by that. Who do you consider to be a fake Christian? If published without the Old Testament, there would be far fewer fake Christians. I don't know. I'm sorry, I just don't know what you mean when you say it. Robert says, hello, BMXers with dreadlocks wherever you are. Yes, indeed. Hello to BMXers. He's not here right now, but maybe he'll watch this. Confuses and bores. I've heard that. A lot of Christians find the Bible boring. Was that a lot? Some Christians find the Bible boring. Not that the Gospels don't get repetitive, hiding John's sadly. Well, I think that even from the get-go, that specific gospel stands out, if people who are Christians, right, and follow the New Testament, if they even read it more than a few times, they'll be able to see that there's something there that stands out from the others. I know that many people value that gospel, even though I think chronologically was it written later? Maybe I'm confusing it. I don't recall. John's is best. I love that idea of that word, right? The word becoming flesh. I don't believe it to be the case that it became flesh, but I love that idea that that's how it starts. Not with the genealogy and not with, right? It's that thing before the Big Bang. Eiler says, what I love about Judaism is that you can put it as godliness comes down to us, not us going up to heaven, makes this place good, so the divine can dwell, Bailey. Yes, indeed. Sunisa says, I agree fully, HN, but how few actually have such good intent in mind? I have no idea. I wouldn't know how few or more. I know that the Torah is accessible in a very fundamental way. It is accessible. But anyway, that's what I'm going to go with. Loving so much, says B Freak. All right, this has officially become a love-in. I hope y'all are ready. Serene A says, interesting point, Eiler. Serene, oh, I'm sorry, Saran. Hey, Saran A, good to see you. Is this your first time here? I think so. Welcome, welcome to the channel. Heaven is living like you do now, except understanding. Pain isn't punishment. Well, Rabbi Nachman said, right? A person that knows that everything that happens to him is for the best, that person is a taste of the world to come. So people who fully, truly understand, as you say, that pain isn't punishment, people who are able to do that, yes, that is a taste of the world to come. And heaven, if you take it in the Edenic sense, in that tree of life, world to come sense, then yes, it's akin to that in a very, very big way. And Shabbat, whenever I speak of a taste of the world to come, the queen just announces herself in my mind. Shabbat is coming up soon. Oh, where you understand that that part of heaven is not only understanding that pain isn't punishment. No. That belongs to the 6 work days. Shabbat is here to remind you of the other half of that idea, is that pain isn't punishment, and also there is so much pleasure to be had. Oh, Shabbat, Your Majesty. Bailey says, okay, sacrifices, so I can become closer to God, what we were meant to be. Thank you for your answer. I am very curious. Very good. Stay curious. Yeah, and a human being can make sacrifices even without a temple. That was done in a more sort of surgical way. That was done, right, with certain elements, right? Again, with the fire and the song and the animal, right, or the grain and the wine and the oil and all of that. But initially, before there was a temple, before there was a tabernacle, there was us, human beings, the image of God, or with the capacity of personifying, right, that image of God. And to make a sacrifice, going back to Cain and Abel, if you go for something, right, if you aim very high, and the sacrifices may be worth it. So yeah, I stay curious. Stay curious. Thank you for your question. I hope the answer was satisfactory. I don't know if it's an answer, but it was me addressing it. That's how I like to put it. Robert says, I heard about a group of people eating psychedelic shrooms and reading Torah. I'm sure a lot of people take mushrooms and read Torah. Um, I I Torah is part of my life pretty much every day to some degree. So whenever I did take psychedelic mushrooms as a ritual, or well, let's put it that way, as a ritual, it was spiritually and physically oriented. And so Torah was a big influence there. And speaking of silence, speaking of music, right, those things that I won't forget, I will not forget the trip I had on the ritual I had on the night of Tetvav Be'av, the 15th of Av, a few years ago. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Fasting, in my opinion, said Sneezer, is the best form of atonement. Then it's making amends. Fasting definitely has a lot. And you can choose, right? Is it just food? Is it food and it's water? Is it only from sunrise to sunset? Is it from sunset to sunset? Right? Do you do Mondays and Thursdays for a set period of time? Is it also not speaking? Because that's also a type of fast. And it also is atonement. And it reminds you not to shoot out your words like I do right now. And the words that you do shoot, make them, so they aim high and make them count. Because you're going to run out at some point. Blah, 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 blah. When you do a speaking fast, a ta'anit dibur as it's known, you realize how much you speak. Now, sometimes, obviously, it's necessary. We live a life here and all that. And sometimes you blather. Sometimes. And to be on a speech fast, a ta'anit dibur, whether a day, 3 days, whatever the case may be, or even a few hours, it can make you a lot more conscious of where the thoughts are, what happens when you let them ferment, when you don't let them escape your lips. It's like, well, ferment, I mean in good or in bad. I don't know. A person needs to look within themselves. So yes, sacrifices, fasting is very good. I agree. Obviously, if medically, if you can pull it off. James Bong says, I'd like to see you get more people come in. But that means more comments, and more comments means you won't be able to get to everyone's comments, some pros and cons. Yes, yes, I've tried these sort of streams, I've tried other sort of streams, and that is, the few people who were on board with which one do you think is better said that it's better when I go one by one. So that's what I'm still doing. Pros and cons, yeah. Not eating for weeks doesn't give the farmer back his cow. Well, are you talking about specifically meat? Are you talking about, I'm sorry, I don't, but it does pay for the sin. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So not eating for a few weeks doesn't give the farmer back his cow. I don't understand. Which sin? What cow? Where did that come in? Please explain. Okay, I can't hold it anymore. LOL, been holding it for hours. Be right back. Hey, that's not healthy. When you gotta go, you gotta go. Though I appreciate it that you stayed as far as you did. Saran A says, is it more important to feel okay? Is there a continuation to that? I'm not sure what that is in relation to, but no, there are times that you ought to feel okay. And there are times when you ought to say, I am not okay. Let me take stock. Let me see what I'm doing wrong. Let me see where and when I can be of more service, what I can do better. In the immediate, in your immediate environment and place in the world. So there are some things that you go through where you're not going to feel okay, but it's the right thing to do. And then it's like, okay, so choose your poison. Big question for everyone, said Sneezer. Is acceptance the best way to demonstrate love? Well, for me, just again, off the cuff, you can accept something and still want it to change. So, acceptance, well, then no, acceptance is the wrong word. No, it is exactly the right word, because to accept is to receive. And in that sense, you can accept someone's position and still disagree with it and cite your argument. I think the best way to demonstrate love is acceptance and then Because unless you're accepting something 100%, I'm not an absolutist, but you know what I mean. Unless it's like, yeah, well, duh, obviously, I received that, I accept that from you. I am accepting what you said, and I find it to be true in my experience and in my views as well. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if something doesn't sit right with you, to whatever degree. It's like, yeah, you can accept it and still say your piece. At the very least, say your piece. And that would be an even greater demonstration of love because then you're both sharing and both from a good place, or so I would hope. I think the best way to demonstrate love is kindness. And kindness, right, widening your heart. Things like empathy. These all don't have to be accepting things and saying it's good the way it is. Because sometimes it's not. And it would be the opposite of love to go in that direction and say, yes, I accept it. There are ways of going about it, and so on and so forth. You and yourself, you and others. That's what I would say. Sneezer. Eiler says, Sneezer, I guess the organs metaphor implies that all religions, alternatively the world's religions, are meant to go in unison, in dialogue. Yes, to work in harmony, in concert, yes. Denying Islam is saying it won't cooperate with Judaism. So Sneezer believes that acceptance is the best way to demonstrate love. I suspect there is more to it, he says. Now, so Eiler said that to Sneezer, and he continues, as a heart and lung do, to cooperate. Okay, Sneezer, no, in a short answer. Well, so yeah, Robert says no as well. Eiler, I believe so too, said Sneezer. The organs metaphor. Denying Islam is saying it won't cooperate. Denying Islam is saying it won't cooperate. Well, some facets of Islam don't cooperate with it. That's definitely the case here in this part of the world. There are Muslim countries where it's a lot less of a thing. But okay. Saran says, thank you so much for taking time to share this information. Hey, and don't take my word for anything. Take it with a big grain of hummus. Do your research. B Freak says, but as the divine people, do we just think okay? Well, I don't know what you mean by divine people. And I don't know what you mean by think okay. I'm not sure what you mean. Can you... Oh, little doodle. Fall asleep, little doodle. So I'm sorry, can you dumb it down for me a little bit, B Freak? I don't understand the question. It must be very frustrating. By the time I reach... Let's see, let's put the timestamps on for a second and see when he posted that question. At 10:10, and it's now 10:40. Okay, it's a half hour later. I don't even know if he's still here, but I get to it and I go, duh, I don't know what you ask. So that's unpleasant. My apologies. B-Freak, unclear question. Oh, vindication. Unclear question. Can you rephrase, please? Zace and Neezer bringing it. Way to go. I love it. Maybe he did, and I'll be able to address it. Robert says, well, each case depends. You could accept something that someone has choose that ultimately will destroy that individual. Yes, it's a case-by-case basis. That's right. I enjoy this Q&A session as well, says James Bong, with a nice big smiley. Thank you, I appreciate that. I love it. I love it that I'm here with you good people. An hour and 40 minutes already, going strong here in Zion. It's Wednesday night, and I am having a lot of fun, and I thank you for your time and your kind attention. And your comments, right? Your likes, your subs, your views. It's, you know, the guy who said what sort of manure I put in my hair, he never did come back and explain to me the benefits of putting manure in your hair. And I'll be danged if I just put that in my hair without knowing if it's beneficial. Robert Harrison, Sneezer says, you can accept that they want to do that behavior while trying to show them better ways. You can accept that they want to do that while trying to show them better ways. So yeah, I know what you're saying. So Neither says, he continues, says to Robert, you can also accept they want to do that and that your safety requires space so they don't harm you. Yes, that's right. Another very good way to look at it, to go about it. Eiler says, HN, as you pick and choose, being a light unto the nations and tikkun olam part of your catalog, meaning also actively, and how do you lay those out? So a light unto the nations, I lay that out as, right, that am segula, a people that have a certain quality about them. And it doesn't make you higher or lower. It means that you have a different job. And if you are going to claim that you're a light unto the nations, you damn well better back it up with the best behavior of your life constantly, all the time. So I think even if the people of Israel, first, it's humanity that is a light unto creation. And within humanity, you can say that there is the Hebrew people who are a light unto the nations. But we are only as bright as we glow. And if we're going to carry that title, we need to back it up all the time, consistently. And you just need to read the Bible to know that, we don't do that. So while it's a great thing to hold on to conceptually and to see the bigger picture, but in the individual, right? I'm a light unto my immediate family and friends and community and whatever. And we are collectively, we have the capacity to be, the duty, some say, would be that light unto the nations. But people have taken it and warped it and twisted it and put themselves on a pedestal and thinking they are hot duty. And so a light unto the nations is something that we ought to be aspiring to and earning, right? Every single day. It's not something that's just a given. Pff, there you are. Now, insofar as the world wants to kick our asses all the time, for whatever reason, yes, and that's in that, yes, we're definitely sort of always there. But right, we're a pain in the ass unto the nations. That's a constant. As for tikkun olam, yes, I'm very much in favor of tikkun olam in the idea that it's on the individual, just like Hasidism, modern day and ancient Hasidism teaches, which is that yes, there's you, but you are a world entire, and there's you in the world, right? You and the world around you, you that are the world, and you mirror each other. And what you do, right? Kol Yisrael Arevim Ze Leze, all of Israel are responsible, if you will, for each other. Meaning you have a job here, a purpose here, a task here that goes beyond you, beyond yourself and your family and your circle of friends and relations and your town and you're part of a greater network and you're part of a greater purpose. You need to find your place in it. You need to find your share of it. And both of those things happen in Tikkun Olam, where on the one hand, it's only Israel doing its thing and trying to shine as brightly as they can, and, right, ideally, and that as a result of simply them doing their thing, not because they said, hey, you need to be enlightened. No, it's that Israel shines and the world is brighter for it, and other nations, as it's prophesied, notice this and they say, hey, what's going on over there? I'd like to have some of that too. Teach us your ways. And Tikkun Olam is the world. Tikkun Olam, for me, right, goes back to Eden, goes back to the tree of life. And both of those things exist simultaneously. So that's how I see it actively, and that's how I lay it out. I don't know if it was beneficial at all, but that's what I think of those, that's what I think of those terms. Now, if you mean tikkun olam in the sense of the more, let's say, reform or reconstructionist view, I don't know enough about it to have, to properly address it. I know that it is more part of the lexicon, right, the vocab of the reform movement, maybe conservative movement, reconstructionist, or maybe it's only the reform movement, I don't know. But it's like, yes, you're a Jew, but remember you're part of a greater world, and you should strive to globally fix things on an individual, local level, right? So I don't know enough about it in the sense of those religious groups or sects, but I do know that I am in favor of it. And the first olam that you need to fix, the first world you need to fix is you, your inner world. You need to be that thing that shines around those around you, right? To be blessed and be a blessing. Accepting them is fundamental in both cases, no? Accepting only in order to know where they stand. It's like you would have to put yourself in that person's shoes to some degree and be empathetic in order for you to accept, to begin with, this is the situation, and but I can't accept it continuing. Something like that. I don't know if that makes sense. HN, Sneezer says, HN, oh, don't ask me what I mean about something Jesus said when you won't even read the gospel. Fair enough. Okay. It'll probably take me 20 chats. Okay, I'll chat with you another time, says B-Freak. I understand, Sneezer. Point taken. If I do it again, give me that line again. Sneezer says to James Bong, best show in a long time. Thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, so you know what? You two seem to be in agreement, or you were about 30 minutes ago. What is it about this specific live stream that you're enjoying more than other times that I go live? Tell me, and I might be able to do more to implement that. Of course, this is all raw and live, so I don't know if it is something that's just in the moment or that I can recreate, but what is it about it that is standing out to you? Robert Harrison says, accepting the person, yes, but accepting their bad decisions is not love, in my opinion. Right, exactly. There's definitely something to that. Robert Harrison, Sneezer asks, have you never made bad decisions? I accept that you have. And will continue, said Sneezer. Right, so Robert says he made a lot of bad decisions. I accept that it's only human to make bad decisions. Bloodnose says, celebrities giving to politicians is theatrical. A lot of that money is returned, sometimes many-fold. Oh, wink, 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 nudge, nudge, say no more. Okay, so yeah, but again, it's just all one big ball of propaganda. All the time. All the time. That's all it is. By the time it reaches me, it's absolutely all propaganda. Sneezer says to Bloodnose, it's usually for publicity, and there's no bad publicity. He continues and says to Robert, I enjoy the debate. Try and find other examples. Robert says, not to get too deep, but my wife is in this situation now with her transgender niece again, and not to go... Oh, wait, the chat just jumped. Where was I? Oh, whoops, now I went too far. Here. A transgender niece again, not to go too deep. Okay. Did you pose a question or ask something or wonder something? My wife is in what situation? Which one are you talking about? Understandable, Sneeder says to Robert. Acceptance, I see. Schools have brainwashed her, and sadly she will suffer a lot. Maybe she will be some of the percentage of transgenders that feel like 100% awesome with their decision and living the best life ever since finding real connection, finally, inside and out with how they present. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she'll be one of those. I'm not condoning schools doing all kinds of brainwashing. Of course, all schools do to some degree, but I digress. But well, you know what? I understand that you're going, you say not to get too deep. I'm not going to comment on that situation. I have no idea. There's so many factors that I know nothing about. So Robert says to Sneezer, you have very clever debates. She wants to permanently cut part of her family out of. They won't refer to her as the male. Oh, so I see they're dead naming her as it's known. So Nietzsche says, HN, did you say you need to understand it, or did God? Well, the Torah is there obviously to be learned, and the Torah is there to be read, and the Torah is there to be lived and acted and performed and passed on. And again, God, I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. And God is definitely, right? There's a divine revelation in written Torah. And there, right, in every verse, in every punctuation, in every cantorial sign, in all the different crowns. Again, from the most wicked things that's there, through the good, through the best. So I don't know what God did. I know that there's divine revelation coming to me through the Torah. And that I was taught this, yes, growing up Orthodox in Jerusalem. And in time, after questioning and researching, for me, not, this is absolutist in any way, yes or no, but it's something I've come to realize in time that yes, ever since I was young, I was like, yes, I should be paying attention to this. Not do 100% of things all the time, know where to put certain lines and know where to, right, make certain boundaries, if you will. But definitely, it merits putting in a lot of time and attention. So I guess it was both. I love the Marx Brothers film, says Bong. I do too. The earlier work, more so than the later stuff. But yes, definitely, Night at the Opera, Night at Casablanca, Duck Soup. Ay, 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 ay. Bloodnose says to Robert Harrison, I blame a lot of suffering in our children from what they're being shown in school. I remember issues from my own experiences in the 80s. So, okay, I'll read it again. Bloodnose said to Robert, he blames a lot of the suffering from what they're being shown in schools. Well, that's that's a great argument for homeschooling, by the way. And this is also why I decided, even though I went to religious schools all my life, to not send my kids to a religious school and to be, maybe to my detriment, solely, in the house in charge of their religious, spiritual education and upbringing. And I wanted to be in charge of that because I know that there can be things that they take in school that I wouldn't necessarily want to get behind, and I wanted to be able to have at least more of a say. Because past a certain age, it's school and it's their peers and it's their right classmates. What I wanted it from the get-go to be. So yeah, people say, "What? What do you mean?" But there are so many different religious schools now. They don't have to go through the crap you went through in your religious school in the 80s and 90s. There are so many different schools here in modern day Israel, and you should give it a shot. And I said, no, even so, I don't doubt what you're saying is true. I want to be the primary, right, educator, if you will. Not, primarily through simple life here in Jerusalem. I want to be the one who, maybe selfishly, I want to be the one who does that. No teachers, no rabbis. They can decide later to be more religious, less religious, whatever. But I want to give them what I want to give them, sort of right by osmosis and through educating and through teaching and through shared learning. Because of this, yes. And oh my God, I did not enjoy my time in school at all. Blah. Did we meet once? Asks Saran. On the last day of a 1 year of silence vow? I believe we met, or am mistaken. I have no idea. Where, when exactly? We could have crossed paths. Could be. Blood nose spot on, says Robert. Schools. It's not just the schools, people, said Sneezer. Men are toxic. It's been a fact all my life. I've been told it over and over until I didn't want to be a man anymore. I've heard that from people. It really sucks that that's the situation. Duck soup, one of my favorites. Mine too, says James Bong. Quack, quack. Ay, ay, such good times with the Marx Brothers. Sunither says, anytime I did the slightest manly thing, I got in shit for it. Well, that's not good. That's not good. Men should be men. And you could argue over the nature of what that is, but men should definitely be men. Shalom, my Hebrew. Hope you are well. I am well, WD. Hello, WD. Good to see you again. Welcome to the chat. Welcome, welcome. It's not just school, it's 99% of people. 99% of people. I find that hard to believe. 99% of people hold views that you consider like untenable together, collectively, specific ones. How does that work? I'm sorry, maybe I'm not getting this. I'm definitely not getting it properly. Sneezer, keep being the man you are, says Robert. Part 2 to the organ thing, says Eiler, will be about man-made religions. I'll show you a study whose aim is to show a documented lineage of teachers and students passing down Torah, showing it can't be man-made. Yes, and the Rambam, if I'm not mistaken, well, first of all, there's Seder Hadorot. There is a booklet that actually lists, is it Sefer Hadorot? I think so. Seder Hadorot or Sefer Hadorot. I think it's Sefer, Seder. Anyway, it chronicles from Adam all the way to our modern day rabbis and sages. So I've seen it, and I know that it's backed up not only with tradition, but also with, tradition and more ancient writings. I don't know if that counts as tradition or not, you know what I mean? So, as for the Hebrew faith, I believe that there is an element of it that is not man-made, that has been transferred in a kind of very special way through Moses, son of Amram the Levite, to the world, right? With the revelation at Sinai. I believe the revelation at Sinai, as far as I'm concerned, happened, and it was a pivotal thing for all creation when the Torah made its appearance on earth the way it did. Not in a tradition going back to Adam, orally, but in something that was given. And Moses receiving the 2 tablets of stone. Now, those were broken. The ones that were kept and were properly, most people say, right? Some say that it was also the broken parts of the first one, but the ones that definitely made it into the Ark of the Covenant were the second set of stone tablets, which he carved and God wrote on. So, oh, wait, something glitched? Okay, I'm good. I hope. So, yes, a documented lineage of teachers and students. I agree. It does exist. Yes, 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 it does. I agree. I've seen it. I think one time, once in my life, in my yeshiva days, I read the entire book. There was a certain, what is it? There's a certain quality, if you will, that is, what's the word I'm looking for? See, you can tell I'm tired, and it's almost been 2 hours. Great Scott! I'm going to say goodnight and goodbye from Jerusalem. I'll say thank you. I'll continue this very lengthy and awesome chat on Friday, or if not Friday, time, Shabbos, Monday. I will come back to right here, God willing, part 2 of the organ thing, and I will continue it from there. This has been so blessed, so abundant in good vibrations and questions and answers and addressings, and so much has gone on here in this chat. I thank you for your time and your kind attention again and again, because I don't take it for granted. I really don't, that I sit here with a cup of tea, I press go live, and here it is, and I have 9 people watching right now and 7 likes. I was here for 2 hours, and it flew by, and it was engaging, it was lovely. I hope, and other people in the chat commented on how lovely this specific one has been. So once again, if you experience something that you would want me to do more of, or then do let me know what made this one stand out. What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? It has been a pleasure. and indeed an honor to go live here with you tonight. God willing, I'll see you Friday, a stream, I don't know what, and if not then Monday for another live Q&A from Zion, the holy city. God bless. Be blessed. Be a blessing.